A very good afternoon and welcome to Expert Talks on Kalkine TV. I'm your host, Rose Jacobs. Now, this is where we chat to industry leaders and some of the experts in the financial field in an effort to inspire you to make the most of your own financial investments. Today, we're exploring how companies should enhance their workflows. In today's contemporary times, technological advancements like AI are total game changers. Ben O'Loghlin from Servicely joins us for an industry insight. Now, Servicely is a next-generation AI-powered platform for enterprise service management and ITSM in particular. They make the service desk faster and cheaper while improving CSAT and NPS. Ben O'Loghlin has founded and run companies in IT, marketing, large organisation culture change and employee management and engagement, and IT service management. His role at Servicely is at the board level. And Ben, thank you so much for joining us today.
Rose, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and hello to all the Kalkine community.
Thank you. We're delighted to have you. Now, Ben, I'm told that your main obsession at the moment is to help service desk professionals understand the incredible efficiencies and cost savings that are possible with AI and how this can also drive customer self-service and satisfaction. Is that the case?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're all about.
Great. So it's true that digital transformation requires intelligent workflows. How would you describe how companies can enhance their workflows? I mean, is this a simple solution or is it quite a complex formula?
Yes, the art is making the complex simple. So when we're talking about workflows here, what we're talking about is like repeatable kind of information-based business processes. So the way that work, information work, moves around the organization. And so that can either be slow, it can sit in someone's email inbox for a while, or it can get routed to the wrong person. But ideally, we want it very streamlined. And there are three dimensions to the performance of this sort of workflow. The first is actually the user or the customer experience. So, if you're a customer, for example, you want to make a warranty claim, you email them, and nothing happens for 5 days. You don't know if anything's happening. That's a bad experience. Secondly, the second dimension of workflow performance is how efficient is it in terms of what resources are required to produce the service outcome that you want. Is it costing a lot of money to staff a service desk, and it's disproportionate to what you want to be spending on that kind of overhead. And thirdly, the third dimension of performance is how connected is your organism, is your enterprise, is your business, the different business units. Do they talk to each other, and can work move between different business units without sort of slow and unreliable things like phone calls and emails sort of flying back and forth? Is it easy to track where things are up to? Is it easy for people to see what work they've got to do? Can you report on all of it? So that's, by addressing those three dimensions, essentially, is how the user experience, the efficiency, and the connectivity, that's how companies can enhance their workflows.
Well, you certainly drew a chord for me there when you're talking about the customer experience. For me, obviously during the pandemic experience, I can imagine so many people have been doing that online shopping experience and trying to communicate with businesses and the customer service desk. And you can certainly see the businesses that do have the automated response, and you feel respected, you feel heard, you feel like it's all being under control. So that makes perfect sense to me. Now,
Yes.
To ask, how would you rectify the top challenges and solutions for service desk strategy and also operations?
Yeah, so let me just pick up a point there, Rose, and that is that what you just described, you call that CX, customer experience, that's equally important for employee experience or user experience. Because, for example, you asked if you could have leave, but you can't walk around to your boss's office and then your boss says, "Oh, look, I'll fill that out for you. Don't worry about it." All of a sudden things are happening at a distance. So you need to be able to access resources and support from your whole organization in one place. Now, the challenge is that there's this big rush for digital transformation with the hybrid workforce, because we can't do things the old way anymore, and it really has accelerated digital transformation, and that means there's more and more services coming online to be supported digitally. So to your question about the top challenges, one of the main challenges is just the volume challenge. I was talking to a CIO in Dallas earlier in the week about how, when COVID hit, they went from 1,500 support calls a month to 5,500, and no extra resources. So that's a challenge, because their service agents then get burnt out. It's bad for their morale. You lose people. You have difficulty retaining skills, and it gets worse. So in a perfect world, as the increase in volume and in demand came on, you'd just be able to throw money at it and hire more people and scale out. But unfortunately, nobody has that luxury. Everyone, you've got to, dare I say it, do more with less. And the way to do that these days, ever since the Industrial Revolution, it's been use technology. And these days, that's AI technology is sort of where the real opportunities are. Leveraging AI to make better use of your people.
So would that for you also include those telephone services where, instead of staying on hold for an hour or 2 hours, where the customer just becomes more and more frustrated, you can now have that automated option to press the button, leave your phone number, and then you get the call back from the company, so you're just not left on hold?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really simple hack, if you will. Another way might be that, if you get sent the invoice for something that you bought, there's a link on there, and you could click in there and it'll just show you, what your purchase was, what the unit is. There's a link to the manual. There's a link to raising your ticket. Like, everything is just easy for you.
Even your return and refund options, everything's
exactly
there. Vital, I would say, particularly in the current environment. And so can you tell us about the strategy that you implement to configure custom workflows to match various businesses' processes?
Yeah, sure, Rose. I guess the key to any of these sorts of projects is we're looking for low-hanging fruit. I mean, we don't want to boil the ocean. We don't want another billion-dollar transformation project. We've got to look at areas of the business, consult with the relevant stakeholders, and find places where we can just make a real difference in people's lives, whether it's your customers or your users or your service agents, and improve one of those three dimensions, or one or more of those three dimensions of customer experience, of efficiency, and of connectivity.
As you've said, you're not reinventing the wheel. It's some of those simple tweaks can make the ultimate difference, and you start with one of those three areas.
Yeah, and then you just scope it, and then get some wins for key stakeholders, and do it in a way where you can actually bed down a platform. You can make a few integrations. You can you can use it as a way to get buy-in from technical and business teams around that vision of workflow transformation, and you make things better for the users, and then you celebrate the wins, and then look for how can we up the ante, how can we achieve the next thing now that we've kind of reached base camp.
Sounds as though there's a lot of hard work happening behind the scenes at your end. So, being an expert in the field, Ben, can you tell us about how AI accelerated workflows are better than all the other options out there at the moment?
I think it's a case of look. I don't think it's controversial to say that computers are better than humans at some things. We've known that since the '60s. It's been a decade or so since Deep Blue beat the world grandmaster at chess. So look, I mean, it's just a matter of finding. And the other thing is, I mean, we routinely in our economy we shift work to the lowest cost supplier. Okay, that's why we've got global supply chains. Because different countries, different parts of the world are better at different things. And it just so happens that AI is better at certain things. And there are certain repetitive tasks, workflow tasks that AI does really well, like, for example, to use natural language understanding to understand a request and then triage it into the right, categorize it correctly and send it to the right person. Then running automated data capture and to give service agents full context. And then when the service agent makes a decision, just make all orchestrate what needs to happen, get all that to work. And so you're not really talking about, hybrid workflows are more than just, it's naive to think you can automate everything with AI. What you need to do is strike the right balance between what people are good at and what machines are good at, and make sure that you play to the strengths of both, and you really leverage the people that you've got.
Indeed. In fact, that was my next question, just to, reassure people at home that we're not trying to replace the human element and that connectivity that is vital for any successful business, but more so using the AI to really sort of support that human connectivity and bring out the best in it.
Yeah, that's right. And just to do it's that thing of doing more with less. Like the inevitability of progress is that as people get more and more tools, like with a flint, you could cut meat faster than you could with your fingernails. And these days, the boundary is at finding AI and using that in really super practical ways. And when you do that, you just get your humans can get more work done, and that's good because they've got more and more and more work to do.
Absolutely.
We're not laying off service agents at this point in our
good to hear.
in our economy.
People at home can rest assured. But can you suggest some of those ways? You mentioned the hybrid workforce. Some of those ways that businesses can incorporate the hybrid workflow.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so there's really some key capabilities. So there's the people, process, tools, data, all that sort of stuff. But you sort of need to make sure in your stack that you've got a couple of things covered, a few things actually. So you need to make sure that your platform that you're using to build your workflows is kind of fast, easy, economical, agile to create workflows. Because it used to be that people would go in this multi-million dollar business process engineering, re-engineering projects, and you'd hire a bunch of expensive consultants with cufflinks. I'm not sure if I'm wearing one today. And it would be a bigger than Ben-Hur, and some would fail, some would succeed. But we're that's waterfall. We're in agile now. We need quick results. We need something that can follow along with us quickly. Secondly, you can't just be, if you talking about AI, you can get some gains with just an AI chatbot. And I think we've all been to websites now where there's a bot that comes up and you ask it something, and sometimes it helps you and sometimes it doesn't.
Absolutely.
Those things are good for what they're good for, but to really transform workflows, you need AI that's really embedded alongside the human operators, hand in glove, so that they can kind of hand off and trade off and bounce off each other and really get the efficiencies going, and not just have something that's not that smart at the front end.
I couldn't agree more. Any other final tips?
Yeah, the third thing is actually the sort of the cutting edge of this stuff is the AI system has to be self-learning. So you can't really afford to, well, maybe you can, if so, get in touch with me. But most of our customers can't afford to hire a team of data scientists and business analysts and do up their UML diagrams and swim lanes and and sort of the process of automation itself to date has been dare I say it, fairly manual. These days, systems are adaptive. They can self-learn. They can just watch what the service desk agents are doing and then just slide into the chair and start taking the workload off. So that's my third piece of advice as for how businesses can incorporate hybrid workflows is make sure that your platform has the ability to dynamically configure who does what work and slide the work over to the AI when the AI has trained itself.
Ben, that's it for today's interview with Expert Talks. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Rose, and thank you to Kalkine.
We'll chat again soon. Ben OLoghlin from Servicely, and I'm Rose Jacobs. Thank you for watching Expert Talks with Kalkine TV.